Everybody, welcome to another episode of the Fair Chase podcast. Before we start this episode, we're going to again take a little time to thank a little bit of the people who help make this show possible.
First up is 2O Gear. It's a new brand that we just started partnering with. They make awesome high-end technical hunting clothes, camo. And so they're based in Michigan, and new company. We've tested them for months. I tested them in the whitetail season last year.
Great merino base layers.
Yep, great
awesome
merino
shells.
base.
Awesome new pattern.
A great system for going out west, but we'll use it a ton in the whitetail woods too. So really excited to work with them. 20gear.com. Go check them out. Next up is Worldwide Trophy Adventures. It's an awesome, basically, connection to outfitters all over the world. So as a lot of people know, good hunting ground is really hard to come by. And oftentimes the best way to ensure that you're going to get in a good spot, or maybe you need to legally have a guide, is to go through an outfitter.
Mm-hmm.
And so, as you might know if you've heard us before, we've had good experiences and bad experiences with outfitters. Which means, in order to ensure you're going to have a good experience, you have to do a ton of research, you have to talk to people, it's just a lot of messing around. Worldwide Trophy Adventures, or WTA, does a lot of this work for you at no charge. So by booking your trip through WTA, you can rest assured that you'll be in a good location with a reputable outfitter that they've certified and endorsed. If you're looking to book a trip of a lifetime like I am, just headed to a moose hunt here through WTA, you're going to want to check them out. Go give them a call. Actually, I have the number right here. It's 1-800-346-8747, or check out their website at worldwidetrophyadventures.com.
All right, so we love TrophyLine. They offer more than just saddles. Believe it or not, they have their own climbing sticks. They've got platforms. They've got a ton of extra
packs.
gear. They've got packs. They've got everything.
Knee pads.
Everything that you're going to need to be a saddle hunter, they have it. So if you want to start saddle hunting this year and get into the game like everyone else and really love hunting even more, go to TrophyLine, check it out, use the code TFC10 to save yourself 10% on that purchase.
We're big bow hunters. Sights, quivers, stabilizers, those kind of things are really important if you're going to have a deadly setup. And so we've tried a lot of different companies in the industry, and we've kind of figured out that we really like Redline gear the best. So we are shooting their torch sights this year.
It's a really cool sight. There's a lot of good micro adjustments you can make. You can customize a lot of the stuff on there. Really make it your own.
The chargeable USB rechargeable light is
really
sweet.
Cool.
And so we're huge fans of their stuff. We use them all the time. It's worth going to check them out. Check out Redline. Use the promo code TFC10 for 10% off your purchase, and let us know what you think. We love them. Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Fair Chase podcast. Love having you guys comment, and all these things on the episodes we're having and turning out. So appreciate all your support. Today we have an interesting and fun guest, somebody that I've followed for a little while, though I'm fairly new to you. And so, why don't you introduce yourself first, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, thanks, James. I'm Father Stephen Gadberry. I'm a Catholic priest from Arkansas. People a lot of times don't think of full-time ministry guys as, big hunters and outdoorsmen, but I'm born and raised in Arkansas, grew up in the Arkansas Delta, military background before going to seminary, and now I'm doing full-time ministry here in Arkansas and hunting whenever I can.
I love it. I'm going to preface this conversation to let you know I'm actually, I'm a Dutch Protestant. And so I'm hoping we can that we're still cool, going into this conversation. There's some history, a couple hundred years ago, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Mercy heals all wounds.
That's right. Love it. So for people who maybe know of you, and this is something I didn't know until, just kind of preparing for this podcast, but not only are you, this guy who plays the guitar and makes knives and hunts and a member of the clergy, but you were in American Ninja Warrior.
Yeah, I did.
2018.
2018 and 2020. I did 2 seasons of American Ninja Warrior. I love fitness, and that was just a fun outlet. And I got an invitation from a buddy of mine, Sean Bryan, the Papal Ninja, to go and do it. Well, sure, let's do it.
That is amazing. So, I've not seen the episode. How'd you do?
I fell in the water.
Oh, you did, yeah. A lot of people fall in the water.
Yeah, it's tough. But even though on the course I didn't go far, all the training actually helped me a lot for using my saddle and climbing trees.
Sure. Yeah, I love it. Well, and so you're saddle hunter, and I also saw some pictures. Not only like you're a bow hunter, you saw some compound bow stuff, but you pluck a little recurve string on occasion too.
Yeah, this year I really went deep into the trad stuff, recurve and longbows, and it's so fun. Just like every other hunter, you get one and you say, "This is my last one," and then a few months later you end up with like three of them.
Yeah, yeah,
No more, no more. But it's just so fun. I love challenging myself and kind of being pushed to my limits, which is kind of a theme of my life. I just always love learning new things and going to new extremes. And I'm not an adrenaline junkie, but I just like the challenge of. I don't like an easy life. I like to be pushed.
right.
And hunting is one of those things where you never officially arrive at it. Like you can always get beat. And trad archery, to bring it back to your point, is like just kind of that now my next level in the hunting evolution.
Yeah, yeah, and I like trad. It's just practice is so fun. Like
Yeah.
the practice that you do, it's just you go shoot. You can go shoot at stumps or clumps of dirt or a target or whatever, and just it's really really fun to do.
The only thing I don't like about it, I'm still learning. And this is just part of it. I talked to some of the pro guys, like, it's hitting the nose with the string.
Oh, dude.
Oh, that hurts so bad. It just feels like it's ripping my nose off.
After a while, when it's cold too, I went like a couple years back. I was like, I want to learn to shoot trad, so I like sold my compound bow. I'm like, if I have it, I'm gonna lean on it. I want to go full bore. And I just remember some of those cold days. I'm like, I got to get out and practice, and my nose is just like chapped and raw from just. Some guys will put tape on it.
Yeah, I used to laugh at those guys, but I think I'm gonna be one of those tape or band-aid on the nose guys.
Yeah, because the thing about recurve is like like it's cool, but you don't always look cool. Like you got the dorky like short brim hat, the tape on your nose. You've got you got weird clothes on. They're wearing plaid, not camo. And if you're like a real trad guy, so it's like it's fun, but you don't always like look the coolest. You know what I mean?
I feel you on that.
So training to be a priest. So like I said, I'm a Protestant. My dad's a pastor. I've got tons of pastor friends, and so I understand a little bit how how they do seminary. You go to college, you go to 3, I think, years of seminary, and you get ordained eventually. I know training to become a priest is a little different. You want to like walk me through the process between. I'm obviously, I was looking you up, and you from high school. I think you went into the Air Force and then trained. Is that how that went?
Yeah, correct. So when I was in the military, that was kind of my first time out on my own in the big world. And, a lot of people lose their minds when they get that kind of freedom. Thankfully, like my upbringing just kept coming out, like what my mom and grandparents taught me. And part of that, I didn't run away from God. I grew deeper in my faith, not in some weird cheesy way, but I was just like, there's so much more to life than just the worldly pleasures. And so it's like, it was seeking these ultimate pleasures, these ultimate desires, which is an ultimate joy. So that just leads me down a deeper relationship with God. We all want to be happy.
Yeah.
And if I want to be happy, I don't just want a mediocre happy. I want the ultimate happiness. And so
Real.
the worldly happiness can't satisfy me. So I've got to, keep going deeper and deeper and deeper, which ultimately takes me to God. So, that led me to just get this pulling in my heart, thinking about like, well, maybe I'll check out this whole seminary thing and become a priest. We'll see. And in the Catholic Church, it's about an 8-year process. I didn't have a college degree, so we had 4 years of philosophy undergrad.
Yep.
And then after that, 4 years of theology. I did my undergraduate philosophy studies in Louisiana with a group of Benedictine monks, which was really, really cool. And then I studied my theology in Rome, actually at the Vatican. So
cool.
You can kind of say at headquarters, got to go over there, and then
HQ.
It was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Being in Rome and at the Vatican was really awesome, especially for this redneck boy from Arkansas. But I was glad to get back home.
Yeah, that's I don't mean to brag, but so I live in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and so I am Christian Reformed, and so like technically like Grand Rapids is really the Rome, the Vatican of the CRC Church. I mean, we're not a big group, but I know where the building is. It's not as ornate.
it's maybe where the, as what's going on in Rome, but it's here. So I do, I'm close to it, but that's cool. So, you're studying philosophy, which is intensive, right? It's not the most straightforward, easy thing to study. And then you go into seminary. For a guy who comes out of the Air Force, like I said, you're a guitar playing, knife making, hunting, working out. Like, did you have a lot of time for that, or were you kind of so sucked into your studies that you weren't able to get out too much?
Yeah, during the study time, it was a lot of study. So I didn't. A lot of these hobbies are actually new hobbies that I started since I've entered into ministry. When I was in seminary, it was pretty much just study, eat, sleep, and work out. But if I had an hour or two free, I would always go work out, because when I'm sitting at a desk all day, just it's like the energy just builds up, and I'm like, well, I've got to go lift a rock, or
Yeah.
climb a tree or something. So I just love working out now.
Yeah, that's fun. No, that's cool. I asked because I in grad school myself, I did not have a lot of chance for stuff like that, and so I remember like kind of like looking out the window like a kid in class, wanting to just go play outside, and that builds up, especially after a few years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I found you on social media. You've got a fairly big following. You're a kind of a leader of a church, and you do all these things, but one part of who you are is kind of a social media presence, whether you like it or not. So that probably complicates. Is that complicated, being a leader of a church and being on social media? Or does that make it difficult, or how does that go for you?
It's kind of easy for me. So whenever I first started social media, it was probably 2017, and I did it as a form of penance, because I closed my Facebook, I closed all this other stuff, and I never had an Instagram account. And this was right when Instagram was kind of taking off, and I said, I'm not going to do any of it.
Yeah.
But then, kind of in prayer, the Lord challenged me, was like, if you want to be relatable to people, you need to at least kind of know what they're doing. So I was like, okay, well, I'll open a social media account. And instead of putting preachy stuff out, Bible verses and everything every day, and a bunch of pictures of Jesus, which those things are good.
Yeah.
But I
Hard
didn't
to
want
get a picture of him, by the way.
Yeah.
It's,
a Polaroid.
yeah.
I didn't want to shove that down people's throat, because I've never been a fan of that. And true love isn't shoved down people's throat.
Right.
True love is always proposed. It's never imposed. So I wanted to just propose my life and the way I live my life with Christ, for example. And so what I would do is I would put up videos of just me working out, or once I got into hunting, which is 2018, hunting stuff, or this last year making knives. I would just share kind of these things. And what it did was it broke down a lot of barriers. A lot of times when we think of not only clergymen, but also big leaders like governors or mayors of a town, or business owners, we think that they're just weirdos who don't have a life, and some are.
Mm-hmm.
But,
Yeah.
but the great majority are actually pretty cool people once you
Right.
hear their story. That's kind of been a theme for me in ministry. Everybody's got a really cool story. Even the biggest, like, nobody in your town has a really cool story if you just sit down to them. But it's often hidden. And so what I did through social media was just kind of share that hidden life. And so to bring it back to your question, does that take away from ministry? Not really, because it's just a little snippet of this 5 minutes or 10 minutes or just my regular daily life, and I just put it out there. So it's kind of
it's another avenue.
Yeah, it's just kind of the overflow of my already busy, crazy, chaotic life.
Interesting. Yeah, I love that, and it does set you apart in a way, because that's not everybody's approach to social media, or if you want to be an influencer, there's often a lot different motivation besides what would you say, not impose, but propose. Yeah.
Propose.
Yeah, there's a lot more imposition and a lot more it just seems like a lot very selfish approach to social media, which to me it seems like you go down that path, you slowly see your identity tied to what social media tells you, and you go down a pretty dark path pretty quick.
Yeah, a good friend of mine just wrote a book called, his name is Luke Burgess, and it's called Desire. It's on mimetic desire. And it's all about just it's where we're living in right now, and mimetic desire, basically meaning you want the things that you think other people want. And that's all that social media is. So and so gets this thing or that thing, and then you start thinking, oh well, I want to be like them, therefore I need to like what they like or do what they're doing. And it's just a slippery slope, because then you're just chasing your tail all day long, and you never catch it, and that's exhausting.
That's a heavy burden.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So,
Well,
yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
Just this whole thing of proposing, just gently opening up instead of forcing it, is, I think, a powerful thing in all of our lives.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the going to be the most attractive. I think it maybe takes a little bit more time, but it is attractive. And
All right, we're going to take a pause here real quick and just thank a few more guys and companies that help make this show possible. First up is Vortex. We can't say it enough. We love their glass. We love their binoculars, spotting scopes, rangefinders, their apparel. James is rocking a nice little hoodie here. They make awesome stuff. And if you guys are looking to make a purchase at Vortex, go over to their website and use the code TFC20 to save yourself 20% on the next purchase. That's a big, good discount. Use it. Head over there and get something.
A bow makes a man.
Does
And
it?
yeah, that's what I was told. And we're big fans of Prime Bows. Shooting it for years, Michigan-based company. We're shooting their latest Revix series of bows. Mine's that 36 long boy.
I'll
this year.
generally take a few shots right back here and just.
Yeah, we're huge fans. Smooth, great balance. They're just go check them out. There's tons of technology. One of my favorite things that they have is their grip. Space age technology keeps your hand warm even when it's cold. Highly recommend. Go check out Prime Archery. Finally, Lathrop and Sons boots. Your feet kill animals. Like the more you walk, the more chances you have at getting that big buck, that big elk, moose, whatever it is. Lathrop and Sons have been kind of our go-to boot of choice for a while now. We've put in a lot of miles, taken them all over the place. There's no leaking. It's comfortable. Stephen and James there they're like foot scientists.
They're geniuses. I got messed up feet, and they basically will, you take an imprint of your foot. They'll look at it, look at your arch, how wide it is, how narrow, how long, and they literally build the boot around your foot. So you're not going to a box store and picking up something that you hope is going to fit your boot. These things actually are tailor-made to your foot. So they're super comfortable. Mine, I could walk all day in them. So if you're looking to get a boot, if you're looking for a boot that's made for you and not somebody else, go check out Lathrop and Sons.
Going back to that identity piece, it's something I've thought a lot about lately, and it's been kind of I've got an 11-year-old daughter, right? My wife and I have an 11-year-old. Obviously, she doesn't have social media, and as long as I can prevent that and let her develop as the person she is, that's where I hope to take it. But on the flip side, your job and role as a priest, I would imagine some of your parishioners, you're dealing with people who maybe have felt the impact of social media. How does that look at daily life for you? What does that look like?
Golly, first of all of us are just hungry for love. We all want to be loved. And I don't mean that like in a mushy gushy way. Like, we just want ultimate satisfaction in our hearts, not in a material way, but we just want a deep, longing, lasting peace down in our gut.
Yeah.
And so many people are anxious and restless because of this game that they're sucked into of continually chasing some other pleasure that's not gonna please them. Now the thing about it is, social media presents so much of these temporary pleasures that won't ultimately satisfy us, because it's clickbait. It's easy to consume. I'll confess, I catch myself opening up social media and I'm scrolling through stuff from friends, and then the algorithm will put things similar to what my friends post, but these people aren't my friends. And before long, I'm watching videos of people making traps in some swamp on how to catch fish with like Cheerios or something. And I'm like, why am I watching this?
Yes. Yeah. Totally. Yeah.
And then there's that aspect of just this mindless scrolling, but then also, social media is so full of just fake people. You get a snippet, which is one of the reasons I try to be intentionally vulnerable and I'll be
Yeah,
like guilty of it too. I put up some of my best photos and videos sometimes,
absolutely. Yep.
and but I think it needs to be a balance. So to bring with the aspect of ministry, so many people are just exhausted and worn out and lonely because they don't know who they are. They've listened to so many other voices telling them who they should be that they're just confused. And so whenever that happens, instead of trying to find solutions, you just try to numb your problem,
Right.
which leads to a plethora of addictions of all sorts. And so that's that, or you take out your frustrations and anger on your wife or your husband or your kids or your dog or whatever. And so a lot of my ministry is unfortunately treating trauma instead
Yeah.
of helping people with the solution before they get old, which is what I'm trying to proactively do here in ministry now. Is instead of being triaging these problems when it's too late, trying to help people to teach them so that they don't get to that point to begin with.
Yep.
Formation. Yeah,
Yeah. Who are you? Who are you
yeah.
called?
Exactly. It's a deep conversation. There's so many little things connected to it.
Yeah. No, it's something that's been in my mind. Identity. It's something that's a word that's thrown around in the wider world, the secular world, I guess, that is interesting. And identity is, and when it comes to your faith, is very different, and it's true. And so, yeah, just been thinking about that. It had been interested to hear your take on that. Now,
Mike,
the flip side. Yeah, go ahead.
with the flip side, you go.
No, no, keep going. Keep
I'll
going.
say Mike Irwin. He does a lot of. He's in charge of Team RWB, Red, White, and Blue. It's a military veteran thing, pretty well known. He's got a great book on solitude, and the world hungers for solitude and silence, which is not very easy to. Well, actually, it is easy to if you look for it, but we're afraid of it.
Yeah.
And tied in with this identity thing, we don't know who the heck we are because we're afraid of ourselves and who we could potentially turn into be. The world has told us that if like the world has told us you're going to turn into a monster. That's not true. Like God has made us for greatness if you live a virtuous life and a life of grace. And so, but that requires you to stop, be still, and listen. And so, so many of your listeners are hunters. One of the reasons I think so many people enjoy hunting and being outdoors, even if they can't put their finger on it, is because of the silence and the solitude. They come
Hmm.
back home with so much mental clarity. And with that clarity comes freedom. And that's what we all want. That's where we
Yeah.
find our joy. So,
Yeah, the solitude seems to me, and I'm involved in various ways of, basically helping young men in different Bible studies or youth group or some of the things that I do in my free time. But I do find, and I have noticed an increasing difficulty to even go to sleep in the quiet,
mhm,
even at the end of the night, not have some noise going.
mhm.
And I've talked to my wife about it a lot. It's concerning to me because you can't be alone with yourself before even going to sleep. That's troubling.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that's been heavy on my mind, and I totally agree with you. Hunting is a great way to help someone find solitude because you're also doing something really cool in the woods, and you're doing all the other great stuff that goes with hunting. And this is what I was going to bring up before. So your social media, right? Social media presence, leader of the church. On your social media, you show a lot of hunting stuff, right? You have any issues with that? Any people have trouble with your pastimes?
Not really. There, as with all things on social media, you'll get a few barking dogs that'll come,
Yeah.
and a few more, trolls in the comments. Initially, it used to really bother me, and even still, if people make a comment about it, it really frustrates me. I've done a lot of work with Robbie Crow, Blood Origins, and his big thing on just educating people. So, what I try to do is when that comes, I'll just try to give a sensible, concise, clear response to their point that they're making. But the cool thing about that is that I can bring the ministry side. So if they say, "You're a monster, you kill those poor deer," which actually, funny story, I had a dream last night that I killed a bear. I've never got a bear. I've been chasing them for so long.
It's time. Yeah.
I can't wait. It was a
It's a good
sign.
sign. Yep.
So whenever they make this comment, "You're a monster, you killed that innocent Bambi," I can answer the hunting question, but also as a minister, without like reading into it too much, I can slow down and ask myself, okay, what are they really crying? Do they want
Yeah.
to? What is their true problem? And I can kind of answer two questions in one. And two things: it'll either defuse the situation completely, or they lose their mind and just goes complete psycho. And usually at that point, I just start responding with nonsense. If they're going to play a game, I'll play the game too,
Yeah, sure.
or just block them. But it used to bother me, still can. But one of the cool things about finding that kind of resistance is that it's back to the identity thing. It's helped me to to stand more firm on who I am and who God has made me to be. These people don't define who I am. They
Yeah.
can say whatever they want, but that doesn't change who I am. And so
Yeah.
a lot of times my reaction to that will actually reveal an insecurity in my own heart. So it's an
Mm.
invitation to go deeper and really how confident I am and who God has made me to be. So it's just kind of,
Burns off some of that stuff.
yeah, win-win. It's a win-win situation all around. And if they're a complete loser, I just block them, or they're proud to say, I unfollow you. Okay, well, adios, amigo. Like, you're
Great.
on here anyways.
Well, it's nice, and what we always joke about anytime we have that on any of our posts, we're like, well, actually, all these comments that they're making are driving up our. This post is getting some traction now, so you're not actually having the best thing would be to just quietly unsubscribe or whatever, unfollow. So life as a priest, busy. You've got a church, you've got a lot of people to look after. What's your day-to-day life look like?
Completely unpredictable. Every day is different. So every day we'll have prayer time, 30 minutes to an hour, reading scripture, writing to the saints, just history books, spirituality stuff, time in silence. Also, we have Mass every day, which is our communal worship. So I'll do that. That's anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour. Lots of office and administrative work. Or the church that I'm at is, we have about 10,000 people, and I'm the pastor, so it's got a lot going on. About 90% Hispanic, so a lot of Spanish ministry throughout the day. A lot in the evenings because a lot of our Hispanic and Latino parishioners work long hours during the day, so they're off at night. So I do a lot in the evening. During the day, we have a school here, a preschool through 8th grade, a private school, Catholic school, and I love going to that place. I'm a priest, so some people may or may not know, priests don't get married, and so I'm a celibate. I don't have a wife, don't have a kids, kind of all in on ministry. And so I don't have kids, but I've got this school, and I just see, gosh, it's such a beautiful gift for parents with kids. We've got 200 and just about almost 215 kids, and they're like my best little friends.
Yeah.
They're fun little monsters. I mean, they can stress me out, but during the day, I spend a lot of time at the school, hospital visits, counseling. It's just a little bit of everything. Fixing water leaks, changing light bulbs, doing carpentry stuff around the church. Never ends.
Whatever it takes. I love that fun little monsters. I just started. So my daughter is, like I said, is 11, 6th grade. So I'm like, well, you're in youth group this year at church, and started thinking like that's a big change. Kind of like, holy cow, my wife and I got talking. I was like, well, pretty soon, I mean, at some point, boys are going to come sniffing around. I gotta get involved in these young men life, the life of these young men. So I volunteered to take on the 6th grade boy youth group. Right?
Nice.
She goes to the girls' side. I go to the boys. Which that was my my like kind of background goal was just to keep an eye on the boys, but I realized like they are little monsters, like in a wonderful way. But like I'd actually have it tonight, and I come home exhausted because they're like goldfish, kind of. They're great, and I love them to death. But it's like a 6th grade boy and a goldfish. There's not a huge difference in what's going on in their minds sometimes. So I'm like, why are you doing that? I don't know.
Yeah, they are fun. They can be disgusting too.
Oh my goodness, the smells those kids can produce, dude. Holy cow! So you it sounds like you love the people and the service and things. What's hard? What's hard about being a priest?
Yeah, I love it. The hard part, gosh, one of the hard parts actually is this is kind of cool. This hit me on a hunt this last October, just a couple months ago. On one of the reasons I love hunting so much and ministry, why they're so connected, is have to preface it with a little bit. So many things in life, if I want to figure it out, I'll figure it out. As I said, I love making hobbies or new hobbies. I figured out how to make music, do electronic music. Now my big thing is knives, and so I'm perfecting that. Same thing with fitness goals. If I want to reach a particular fitness goal, more or less, if I work to it and stay disciplined, I will get to it. All that to say, if I set my mind to something, by and large, I can complete the task.
Yeah.
Hunting, this is what I realized in October. I was doing everything right. There were elk. I was in Idaho. There were elk there. Everything was there. I was doing it perfectly, playing the wind, hunting correctly. I was glassing. Everything in my control was perfect. I just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Actually ended up losing a bull, which made me sick. But I had to keep going through my head and put myself in check. I wouldn't have changed anything. I
Right.
took a good shot on a good animal at a safe distance with a great weapon. If I was in that same situation, I wouldn't change anything. I couldn't find the bull. It's part of hunting. So
Yeah.
say with ministry, one of the hard things is I can do everything right and perfect into the book, and it doesn't guarantee a result. The hard part for a man brain, because
Yep.
if we do all the work, we'd like to have the surety of and the assurance of knowing that, well, my task is going to be done.
Yeah.
The cool thing about that is that it reminds me that I'm not in control of a lot of stuff. In my daily life, even, I think I'm in control of a lot of stuff. We really aren't, which is the whole story of life. It's love, and love is complete surrender and vulnerability, which is terrifying but very freeing. So that's kind of a long, kind of philosophical response to say the hardest part is doing everything I can correctly and within my means, right, and still not getting the fruits of the labor that I think I should have when I want them. Eventually they
Yeah.
come. That aspect of surrender is tough.
Yeah, but I mean, it seems like the flip side of that is when you're able to surrender, and maybe it's a huge burden off of you because you realize at the end of the day, you do your part, the rest isn't up to you.
Yeah, exactly. Pope John the 23rd, he was the Pope back in the 50s and 60s. He was a country boy from Italy. He was a big fat guy, but just a jolly guy and a hard worker on the farm when he was growing up. He had this prayer that he would pray every night. This is the Pope, like the leader of the Catholic Church around the world. And the last prayer he would pray every night was, um, basically he would say, "I did my part. Good night, God. It's your church. I'm going to bed." Basically say, God, you figure out the rest.
Yes. No, it's I had my great grandpa had a similar prayer he would pray. It's like, or he would say, it's kind of a saying, it's like, work like it all depends on you, pray like it all depends on God, and you'll kind of work your way into the right, mix in between the two.
Exactly. So that surrender part is when you finally get to that point, get over the ego and all this stuff. Yeah, it's pretty freeing.
Yeah. So hunting, some of your posts, you did mass in the mountains.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me about that.
Man, just the whole silence and solitude thing I was talking about earlier. So for me, religion is a big deal, and liturgical worship is sort of the conversation or the language that I use to converse with God.
Yeah.
And so whenever I'm out there, I don't stop praying. If anything, I pray even more. And so to be able to celebrate Mass and to pray with the scriptures and just reflect on life in nature is like it's nature's cathedral is what I call it. So just the first church. If you think about it, the beginning of time, in scripture, Genesis at least, God creates the garden, the world and everything in it in the garden, and Adam and Eve are there in the garden. It was the first place of encounter between, man and God. Of course, in Genesis, there's some images of myth. So was it like, what did the garden look like? Well,
Right.
we need to step back and not get caught up so much in, well, was it an oak tree or was it a
Yeah.
pine?
How many days? Yeah.
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 That's not the point of the author of Genesis. The point is God desires to be with us. And the neat thing is that it was in the first encounter was there in nature. And so for me, there's something very primal about that sure from our conversation earlier, all this garbage, for example, the social media and superficiality of the world we live in. When you get out there, it's you and your thoughts and God and some stupid animal that keeps beating you every day.
Yeah.
So there's just something about praying with those most basic elements of life that is, it's just refreshing.
Yeah, it's a great way to connect. I did a hunt in British Columbia not that
Mm.
long ago, and some of the more profound moments of my faith walk happened. There was a moment I was openly weeping on the side of a mountain by myself. You have those moments, and that's like I'm sitting with the guide and the camera guy, and I'm like, I'm gonna go over here for a while, and I'm like the whole time I'm like, man, I hope they don't walk over. This is gonna be hard to explain, because this has been it just, you go down a path and you're praying and reading and thinking, and man, it's amazing. However, I will say sometimes I have difficulty with people like that say I don't go to church. The mountains are my church. The woods is where I go to church, and that's always bothered me a little bit. And I'm not entirely. I think it seems like they're. Again, it's so important to do it, and it should be something done regularly, and there's modeled by Christ, and it's in the Bible all the time. But part of it seems like that also, if that's your only method of worship, you are missing the point of church as well.
Right. We're made for community at the most basic level of our DNA. It's impossible for us to exist outside of community. If you just think about that even philosophically, our mom and dad came together and we were made. So we are the fruit of community.
Hmm.
And even let's say, well, I just love my wife or my husband so much, I only want to be with them. If you're with them long enough, and assuming like you're in good health, you're going to have a baby. So you're going to make community.
Yeah.
That's one thing. And if you just stay alone all the time, you're going to be a weirdo.
Yeah, right.
So community is a necessary part. Now we should have that private, intimate, relationship with God and with other people, but it necessarily pushes us outward. And because even between two people, if it's that love can be very selfish. I'm going to love you with everything because I know I'm going to get favors back.
Yeah.
Whenever you're a third person, like a kid, you can say to your wife, honey, I love you, but baby, I may not even get to be with you for a few weeks now because you've got the kid, but I'm going to still love you. And so that's the willing to love without getting something back, just for the good of the other. And that's Trinitarian love. That's Trinitarian theology right there. It's a perfect love. You love with a perfect love for the other, for the sake of the other.
Yeah, so, Trinity, for people listening, might not know what that means. It's modeled in the Trinity, the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Their relationship with each other is the perfect. That's what you're referring to, right?
Yeah. And even if people aren't religious, that's true in all their life. If it's just between you and one other person, and you think your life is really good, it may be good, but I would challenge you to get into community, get to know other people, and it'll be terrifying because you realize that you lose some control, but that's where true freedom happens, and that's when life begins. So it's not all about just you chasing your own pleasures. There's always so much more. So the woods it's not the only thing.
Yeah, I love that. No, that's a good way to put it. So you have more hunting trips lined up this year? Are you done for the year? When it comes to hunting, what are you looking at? You got trips planned for next year? What do you got going on?
Working on a lot of that stuff right now for next year. Arkansas has one of the best whitetail seasons. We're not known as a whitetail state, but we have as many whitetail as we do people in the state, and over 1 million for the herd population are right at it. And the season always opens the last weekend of September and goes until the last weekend of February. We get 6 tags.
Oh, I didn't know that late.
Yeah, so it's usually by the end of hunting season, I'm kind of ready for the break because all that to say, I plan on hunting through December, January, February, and I've got 4 of my 6 tags punched, so I've got 2 more.
Bucks or does? Have you had where are you at so far?
1 buck, 3 does. We get 2 bucks. Of those 6 tags, you can be 6 does if you want, but you can have 2 bucks. So
good buck, the first one?
Yeah, a little 8-pointer, a good Arkansas 8-pointer.
Yeah,
so he'd be maybe 100 inches or so, which doesn't seem crazy, but
that's cool.
Your standard 140 inch, just a good 8-point,
Yeah.
But so I'm just planning on hunting that out. And then for next fall, some elk hunts out west, at least one elk hunt with some buddies of mine. I did my first gator hunt this year,
Oh, cool.
and I'm planning on going back to Louisiana to hunt gators again. That was fun. We got 2 7-footers and 11-footer.
Sheesh.
Yeah, it was big, and that was exciting, man. It's a very social hunt. You're on top of those animals. It's cool, man. And
Yeah. Never done that.
gator hunt, elk hunt. I have a whitetail hunt with a really good friend of mine down in South Texas after Christmas, so that'll be nice.
Lovely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it seems like, and I could be wrong, but you should probably figure out a way to get a bear tag after that dream. I mean, it's just
Here and just haven't been able to make it happen.
we've had Clay Newcomb. He's at Arkansas. How do you Arkansasian? Arkansan?
Yeah.
Yeah. He shoots bears all the time. It makes it look easy. Like you got to hook up with him.
Yeah, he's a pro. We're trying to make it work out for me to get together with him, but it's some people just got it. Like he's the bear whisperer. He's the I think he's not like a robot because that's too modern. He I don't know what you would call him, but he's some ancient hunting spirit in in a man's body. He's a cool guy. Great values, great virtues, hard worker. That's fruits of Arkansas, man.
Yeah, we had him on once a long time ago, and what was cool about him is he was on the podcast and he must have gone to our social media and scrolled way down because he went a year earlier and commented on a video of I was shooting a raccoon out of a tree with my recurve. And he was giving me some props for it. I was like, yeah, he took the time to really go through and, find something that's something else. So, no, we like Clay and love following him. And definitely represents the great state of Arkansas pretty well, much like yourself.
Yeah, we're a lot of good people down here. Not just hillbillies and rednecks. Well, we are hillbillies and rednecks, but we're good hillbillies
That's
and rednecks.
not a bad thing. We need more of those. I think the world could use more.
What you see is what you get.
That's right. It's just straightforward, Yeah, I love that. Well, I'm going to not take too much more of your time here. I very much appreciate you taking time out of your busy day to just spend some time with me and our listeners here. But for people that want to check you out, follow along and the things that you're up to and some of the messages that you're putting out, where can they do that?
Yeah, Instagram's probably the best place, unless they shut me down on that platform. But Father Stephen J. Gadberry. Stephen with a PH all spelled out. Father Stephen J. Gadberry. You can go check me out there for just kind of my daily life.
Perfect. Well, thank you everybody for listening in. Father, thanks for taking the time today, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks, James. I appreciate it.
Hey everybody, thanks for listening to this episode. We really do appreciate it. If you want to go on to any kind of social media platform, give us a like, share, subscribe. It'd really help us out, keeps the train rolling. And if you guys really like what you're listening here, give us a 5-star.
Either way, even if you don't like it.
Even if you don't like
review.
it, 5 stars.
That'd
Helps
be
everyone
cool.
out.
See you out there.